Put a newborn horse on the ground and wait. Within an hour, it stands, wobbling, legs everywhere, but standing. By the end of the day, it can run well enough to follow the herd. A newborn wildebeest does it in minutes. A baby chimpanzee cannot walk, but it can do something almost as impressive. From the day it is born, it can grip. It reaches up, takes hold of its mother's fur, and hangs on while she climbs. Now look at a human baby. It cannot walk. It cannot crawl. It cannot roll over. It cannot even hold up its own head. Leave it alone on a soft floor in a warm room, and it will simply lie there and die. It will be about a year before it takes a single step. That is the most helpless newborn of any primate on Earth. And your first instinct is probably that it must be a flaw, a weakness we got stuck with, the price of something else. But the real answer is far stranger than that. Your baby is not slow. Your baby is unfinished. Born early, on purpose, and the helplessness that follows may be the single most important thing that ever happened to our species. Start with just how unfinished. A human newborn's brain is only about a quarter of its adult size. A chimpanzee is born closer to half. And for the first year after birth, a human brain keeps growing at the same furious rate it had inside the womb, as if the pregnancy simply never ended. It just moved outside. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If a human baby were born as developed as a chimp newborn, able to cling, able to hold on, how long would the pregnancy have to be? Not 9 months. Somewhere closer to 18, maybe 21. So by the standard of every other ape, your child arrives roughly a year early. Every human being you have ever met was born unfinished. Why? For decades, the answer seemed obvious, and it had a name: the obstetrical dilemma. The anthropologist Sherwood Washburn laid it out in the 1960s, and it goes like this. Standing upright rebuilt the human pelvis. Walking on 2 legs needs a narrow, stable one, so the birth canal got tighter. Then our brains ballooned, and the head got bigger. A widening head, a narrowing gap. Something had to give, and what gave was the timing. Babies had to come out earlier while the head was still small enough to fit. It is a beautiful explanation, a tragic trade-off, the price of walking and thinking at the same time. It was in every textbook. And then, someone checked it. The anthropologist Holly Dunsworth went looking for the part everyone had assumed and nobody had measured. If a wider pelvis really ruins walking, that cost should show up. Wider-hipped people should walk less efficiently. They don't. The penalty is tiny. By her reading, a woman's pelvis could be wide enough to birth a considerably bigger baby without wrecking how she moves. So if the doorway was never really the problem, what ends a pregnancy? Dunsworth's answer is not about geometry at all. It is about energy. Growing a baby is metabolically brutal. As the fetus gets bigger, the mother has to burn more and more just to keep it supplied, and there appears to be a ceiling on how hard a human body can run for months on end. Around 9 months, a pregnancy closes in on that ceiling. Birth, in this view, is not the moment the baby stops fitting. It is the moment the mother can no longer fuel it. Either way, the outcome is the same. Out comes a creature that cannot hold its head up. And now the interesting part begins, because that helplessness should have been a disaster. A baby that cannot cling is a baby that must be carried, constantly, for years. In a world with predators, that is an enormous cost, paid by an exhausted mother who also has to eat, No single human could carry it alone. So they didn't. The anthropologist Sarah Blaffer Hrdy spent her career on this, and she points to something we barely notice because it is everywhere. Human mothers hand their babies to other people. Grandmothers, aunts, older sisters, friends. Watch a chimpanzee mother and you will almost never see it. She keeps her infant on her body and she does not pass it around. Most primate mothers guard their newborns fiercely from other hands. Humans do the opposite. We share the baby. Hrdy's argument is that we had to. A helpless infant needs more care than one adult can give, so raising it became a group project. And a species that raises children together is a species that has to read each other, trust each other, cooperate. Helplessness did not weaken us. It built the social animal you are. And there is one more consequence, quieter and stranger. Because a human baby cannot hold on, it gets put down, set on the ground while the mother works or digs or gathers. And the anthropologist Dean Falk noticed what that separation demands. When you cannot touch your baby, you have to reassure it some other way. Across the gap, mothers use their voice, the soft, sing-song, exaggerated speech that adults everywhere fall into without being taught. And the baby answers back, babbles, calls. Falk's suggestion is that this back and forth over empty space, a mother and an infant who cannot reach each other, may sit close to the root of human language itself. We may talk because our babies could not cling. And then, at last, they walk. The psychologist Karen Adolph has recorded this more closely than anyone, and the numbers are startling. A newly walking toddler takes around 2,300 steps in an hour and falls about 17 times. Every hour, all day, for months. It looks like failure. It is actually the method. Thousands of tiny experiments in balance, run by a brain still assembling itself outside the womb, learning a skill that no other animal has to work this hard to acquire. Your baby is not late. Your baby is being assembled in the open, where the world can teach it. So look at that helpless thing on the blanket again. It cannot stand like a foal. It cannot cling like a chimp. It arrived a year before it was ready, and it will need 100 people's patience to survive. And because of exactly that, because it could not hold on, it got handed to a grandmother and sung to across a room and taught by falling down 17 times an hour. The horse stands up in an hour and it is finished. Your baby lies there for a year and gets a village and a voice and a mind that never stops rebuilding itself. That was never the weakness. That was the whole point.